Hello everyone. So today in this lecture we will be discussing a very important concept associated with the evaluation of public projects, and that is what we call as benefit cost analysis. So before going into the details of benefit cost analysis, let us see what is a public project and how it is different from a private project. A public sector project, or simply a project, is a product or a service or a system used, financed, and owned by the citizens of any government level. It may be a owning of a school at panchayat level. It may be a company like HAL or Steel Authority of India, or transportation system like Indian Railways, roadways. So all these things will be governed under public sector project. The basic difference, if we compare this with a private sector, that these projects are created with a sole viewpoint, that is to provide service to the citizenry of that particular region, area, or enlarged citizens for a country, with no profit at all, like creation of an hospital, like creation of a amusement park, health services. So if we just see various sectors which will come under public sector project, it includes public health, criminal justice, police system, what we call as safety, fire services and all those things, transportation, welfare, and utilities, that are basically publicly owned and required economic evaluation. So the thing is, as far as the benefit cost analysis is concerned, since we are dealing with such projects from which we are not extracting any profit, but rather we are assessing them on the benefits which are associated if that particular project is being associated. So it's become all the more important to evaluate these projects. So before going into the benefit cost analysis, let us see some more point of difference between a public and a private project. If we see the size of the investment, so generally for a public sector project, this investment is quite large as compared to private sector, though in some cases the investment is also large in case of private sector projects, but generally that is medium to small investment. Life estimates large in case of public sector projects extending from 30 to 50 years. However, it is comparatively shorter for a private sector project, extending from 2 to 25 years. Now, this is one of the important difference, that if we see the cash flow here, what we have in a public sector project, no profits, only benefits and disbenefits are estimated. However, in case of a public sector, basically the basic intention is to generate revenues, which in turn generates profit. So that is where costing is being evaluated or is being done in such a way so as to make profits. As far as funding is concerned, for public sector project, funding is done mainly with the help of taxes, fee, bonds, private funds, or any fund which is contributed by the citizens of that particular country. However, for funding a private sector project, we have stocks, bond, loans, and individual owners. Of course, the interest rate is low in case of public sector because we don't requires any profit. So generally government give relaxation as far as the taxation is concerned, but it is high because they are based on cost and of capital. So the most important thing why we are studying this benefit cost analysis, so with the help of this analysis, we can evaluate whether investment in any such project is desirable or not. So this is the first point. And if it is desirable, and if we are having multiple options, which option is best suited to invest in? Because here the thing is that most of the projects, if the cost of the two projects are same, say for example, and the benefits associated with project X is say 5 benefits, and with project Y we say 10 benefits, obviously the choice will be to go for a project since the cost is same. So ideally the choice will be to go for the project in which we are having 10 associated benefits. But if the cost if the cost is different and the benefits also are also different, say for example, if the cost is lower, then the benefits are less. If the cost is high, the benefits are high. Then it is not quite easy to select whether to go for that particular project or not, or which one is more useful. So the basic thing is that with the help of this analysis, we can make such decisions. So the benefit cost analysis, it basically introduces objectivity into the economic analysis of these public projects. So subjectivity is basically converted into objectivity. So that is the basic aim of the benefit cost analysis. So if we go by the definition, it says that benefit cost analysis is an economic decision making approach which is used particularly in government and businesses, and it is used to assess whether a proposed project, program or a policy is worth doing, or to choose between several alternative ones. So one is you are having no option and one option, so whether to go for it or not to go for it. So this is this is one thing by which we can, with the help of this analysis, we can answer. And the second thing is that if we have multiple options, then with the help of this analysis we can answer that which one is best suited. So it involves basically comparing the total expected cost of each option against the total expected benefits. So basically it's a comparison between the associated cost and the benefits. Okay, to see whether the benefits, with the basic objective is to see whether the benefits outweigh the cost and by how much margin. So that is the primary objective of carrying out the benefit cost analysis. So cost is something which is the expenditure which is incurred for the construction or making that project workable. So that is whatever amount of money is being incurred, that is what we call as a cost associated with the project. Benefit simply means the advantages to be experienced by the owners or by the public. Say for example, creating or establishing a hospital, so the mortality rate may get lower down, the health conditions improve upon. So that is basically the benefit. Now as far as the disbenefits are concerned, it is basically the undesirable elements which are associated with that particular project. For example, creating a company at a particular place, so that benefit is that this will create employment opportunities, but on the other hand it may hamper the environment. So that is the disbenefit associated with the project. So the thing is, whenever we are carrying out this benefit to cost analysis, we take into account the cost aspect, the benefits, and of course the disbenefits associated. So all the three things are taken into consideration for the evaluation. Now let's see if we have only a single project. That means if we have a project, so the question is whether to execute it or not to execute it, or simply we can say we are comparing this project with a condition where we don't have any such investment or not to go for that particular project. So that is the B by C analysis for a single project. So primarily whenever we are dealing with benefit to cost analysis, first of all the cost and the benefits, they must be converted to a common equivalent monetary value. It may be on the basis of present worth, it may be on the basis of annual worth, or it may be on the basis of future worth. So any of the methods we can use, but the thing is that all the cash flows should be converted into any one of the basis, that is either on the basis of present worth or on the basis of annual worth or on the basis of future worth, of course at the discounted rate, whatever interest rate is given. So simply the benefit to cost ratio can be calculated as the present worth of the benefits upon present worth of the cost. If we are evaluating it on the basis of present worth, if we are evaluating it on the basis of annual worth, then the annual worth of all the associated benefits divided by its cost, or the future worth of the associated benefits divided by the future worth of the cost. So generally we can do it either with the help of present worth method or the annual worth method or the future worth method if we are dealing with a single project. So I generally prefer this annual worth method. So of course we can do it in by using these two also, but it will always be preferred if we use annual worth method. So a simple decision rule is that if we calculate the present worth or the future worth for the benefit and the cost, and if we calculate the benefit to cost ratio, simply says that if B by C benefit to cost ratio comes out to be greater than equal to 1, then the project is economically justified. Otherwise, the project is not economically justified. So let us see with the help of this example, a very simple example. Okay, so now before any example, if we see this here, what we are doing here, we are taking the benefits and the cost. However, we are not giving any attention towards the disbenefits which are associated with the project, what we have discussed in this slide. So if we just incorporate the disbenefits associated with any project, so the formula for benefit to cost analysis, it may be slightly modified. That is what we call as the benefit to cost ratio. We can calculate this by subtracting the disbenefits from the benefits and dividing it by the cost. So it is generally expressed as benefits minus disbenefits divided by the cost. However, if there are some maintenance and overhead cost associated with the project, then that is also subtracted from the numerator, or that cost is also subtracted from the benefits. So in that case, the benefits minus disbenefits minus the M&O cost, that is maintenance and overhead cost, this is to be subtracted from the benefits. So the thing is, either this cost is nothing, but this is the amount of investment which is being incurred in establishing or in commissioning that particular project or making that particular project workable. So the thing is, this is known as the conventional B by C, and when we take these things into account, that is the maintenance and overhead cost along with the disbenefit, then this formula is slightly modified. We call it as modified benefit to cost analysis. So this is the same. The only thing is that in the previous one, we are not taking into consideration any disbenefits associated. So we are writing it like this, but whenever we are taking into consideration the disbenefits and the maintenance and overhead expenses, so the benefit to cost ratio can be written like this. Apart from this, we have one more term which is basically used in this context, what we call as a profitability index. So profitability index is basically generally used whether if the same project is being executed by a private sector firm. So generally private sector firm, we have already discussed that these firms work because these firm works just to generate some kind of profit. So the thing is, if we just define this profit, how we can define this profitability index, like if we see the modified B by ratio that we have discussed in the previous slide, it is nothing but the benefits minus disbenefits subtracted the maintenance and overhead costs divided by the initial investment. So the thing is, if we just rearrange this, we can rearrange this in this manner. That is, if I do it on the basis of present worth, so it will be the present worth associated with cost minus with benefit minus disbenefits minus the present worth of the associated maintenance and overhead cost. If I write this in this way, so simply if I do it on the basis of present worth, we can do it on the basis of annual worth also, and this is the present worth which is associated with the investment. So I can write, if we carefully see this and if we compare any cash flow diagram, what is this? This is basically the benefits, benefits that is, or we can say the profit. If we convert these benefits into profit, so this is basically the profit, and this is basically the cost incurred in maintenance and overheads. So this is the net cash flow, what we call as. If we just draw the cash flow for this, So the present worth B minus D will be an arrow pointing downwards, and this B minus D is an arrow pointing upwards if we refer this to as profit, and this is the arrow which is pointing downwards. So if we arithmetically subtract the two, this is nothing but this will be the present worth or of the net cash flow at any point of time t. In present worth, we are computing this at point 0. So the thing is, if we rewrite this formula, that is, this thing is nothing but this is the net cash flow at any point of time t with respect to present worth. So this divided by the present worth of initial investment, if we take up this ratio, then that is basically known as the profitability index, because here what we are doing, this is what? This is the net profit which is being generated if a same project is being executed by a private firm. So in a cash flow diagram, this figure, that is the numerator of this, will depict the degree of or the amount of profit. So this is the present worth of the net cash flow divided by the investment. So we define this ratio as profitability index. So if we compare on the basis of profitability index, if the value of PI is greater than equal to 1, then the project is economically acceptable at the discounted rate, and if PI is less than 1, then the project is not economically accepted at the given interest rate. So again, profitability index is another basis on the basis of which we can make decision whether to accept any particular project or not, especially when the same is being executed by a private sector. So let's see an example. So this is an example given where there is a construction of a toll road. The number of kilometers is given, that is 21.51 mile road is to be constructed in the outskirts of a city. The construction requires 5 years of time with an average cost of $3.9 million per mile. The interest rate is given as 4% and the study period is given as 30 years. So the thing is, this is only one project. So evaluate the economics of the proposal using a modified B by C analysis. And second is evaluate the same thing from the profitability index point of view. Fine. So here if we just see, we don't have any comparison. We are having simply a single project and we have to make a decision whether to accept it or not, or simply we can say that we are comparing this project with the condition where we are not opting for this project or no project at all. So if I just see the values, the initial investment is given as 88. How we get this 88? You multiply 22.51, this is the length of the road which is to be constructed, multiplied by 3.91. So if we multiply 22.51 by 3.91, this will come out to be 88 million. So 88 million amount of money is to be invested, and how it is to be invested? It is given as 4 million now, and in year 5, that is 4 million in year now at that point 0, and at the end of 5th year again 4 million, and from 1 to 4 $20 million each for each year. Okay. So similarly, annual manufacturing and overhead cost is given, revenues is given, and estimated benefits is given. Let us see one by one. So if we take up the initial investment, so it is given as 88 million. Let's draw a cash flow diagram for this. So if I draw the cash flow diagram, what it says, 88 millions, they are to be invested in such a way that $4 million for the first year and for the 5th year, and for the remaining years from 1 to 4, it is $20 million each. So this is the cash flow. Now since this amount of money is invested only up to years 5, but we have to evaluate it for a project life of 30 years, which is given in the question, that is 30 years. So if I just draw the cash flow for the initial investment, the cash flow will look like this. So if I find out what will be the present worth of this investment, that is quite simple. Like if we see, we are having this 4 million is already at the present point of time. We can convert this 4 million to the present time period simply by using the relationship what we have discussed in our earlier classes, that future worth is nothing but the present worth plus 1 plus I to the power n. So here f is given as 4, and we can compute what will be the value of p. So p will be f upon 1 plus I to the power n. So f is given as 4, and 1 plus I, interest rate, is given as 4%. So this is the denominator. This is already the present worth, and if we look at this, this is basically a uniform series where annuities are given. So we can convert these annuities into present worth with the help of this formula. If we just fit in the numerical values and if we solve it, then the present worth of the investment comes out to be $71.89 billion. So this is all about what the initial investment is. Now coming on to the second one, that is annual maintenance and overhead cost. They are given as $1 million per year plus an additional $3 million each fifth year, including year 30. Now let's see how we can draw the cash flow. So if we just see, so that it is given as $1 million each year up to year 30 and additional $3 million at the end of each 5 years, including 30. So if you see, this will be the cash flow diagram will look something like this, that we have a uniform series of $1 million and 1 million every year till the project life, and additionally we have $3 million at the end of each fifth year, starting at the end of fifth year, at the end of 10th year, then 15, 20, 25 and 30. So again, if we convert, since we are evaluating this on the basis of present worth, so again if we convert this whole cash flow into the present worth, into a present worth, the same can be done by using the relationships which we have already discussed in the previous slide. So these are the annuities, so we can use the relationship between P and A. Okay, we can use the relationship between P and A. So this relationship between P and A can be used. A is given, we can find out P, add 1 to it because this is already at 0, so add 1 to it. So $1 million plus the conversion of all these annuities to 0, plus if we treat each of this payment as a future worth, and we can compute what will be the corresponding present worth of each transaction. So for the fifth year it will be 3 upon 1 plus I to the power n. For at the end of 10th year it will be again 3 divided by 1 plus I, that is 4%, that is 0.04 to the power 10, so on and so forth. So if we compute this, the present worth of the M&O cost comes out to be $26.87. So this is the second thing, that is we have converted the annual maintenance and overhead cost using present worth method. Now it comes to the revenues, what we call as benefits, or revenues or benefits. Include toll and retail commercial growth is starting at $2 million in year 1. Okay, so it starts with $2 million in year 1, increasing by a constant 0.5 million annually through year 10, and then increasing by a constant $1 million per year through year 20 and remaining constant thereafter. So if we just convert this into a cash flow diagram, it will look something like this. It starts with $2 and again increasing at the rate of $0.5 million per year thereafter up to the end of 10th year. So again we can represent this in the form of cash flow like this. So once it reach at the end of 10th year, the increment is of $1 million per year each year. So the next, at the end of 11th year, if we add $1 million to it, it will be 7.5. So again it continues till the end of 20th year, so increasing at the rate of 1 million per year thereafter. So at the end of 20th year it comes out to be 16.5, and from here onwards till the end of the economic life it remains constant, that is $16.5 million each year, starting at the end of year 21st till the end of year 30th. So this is the cash flow diagram for the benefits for this particular problem. Again, if we see this problem and we recall what we have discussed in unit 1, so what do we have? We have a uniform series starting from end of year 1 to end of year 10. Again, we will be having a uniform series starting at the end of year 11 till the end of year 12. And again, we are having a uniform series starting at the end of year 21st till the end of the economic life. So we have 3 uniform series or 3 annuities, and if we carefully see, again we have another series in this, because this is how we have converted this into a uniform series. So whatever remains is nothing but it is a gradient series with G equal to 0.5. Similar is the case here. We have a uniform series with annuities equal to $7.5 million per year and a gradient where G equal to $1 million per year. So if we solve these gradient series and these annuities and we convert all these things into the present worth, this comes out to be $167.41. So a gradient series can be converted into a present series with the help of this relationship, what we have already discussed in unit 1. Of course, we have to do some manipulations also, because particularly in this series, when we are computing the gradient, it will be calculated here. So it will be calculated at the end of year 10th, and again with the help of present and future worth relationship, we have to convert this transaction up to at point 0. Similar is the case with the uniform series also. So if we apply whatever we have discussed in unit 1, and if we just compute, the present worth of the benefits will come out to be $167.41. So this is for the benefits. Now if we again come to the problem, then there are some disbenefits also. Includes loss of business, income tax and property values in surrounding areas starting at $10 million in year 1, decreasing by $5 million per year through year 21 and remains at 0 thereafter. So the thing is starting at $10 million in year 1, decreasing, so it will this benefits will decrease by $0.5 million per year up to year 21, and then they remains 0 at the end of the economic life. So if I draw the cash flow for these disbenefits, so it starts with $10 million at the end of year 1 and it decreases at the rate of $0.5 each year thereafter till it reaches at the end of 20th year where it will be 0.5, and again at the end of 21 year it will be 0, and from here onwards till the end of the 30th year all the transactions will be 0. So if I just convert this a negative gradient into its present worth, how we can do that? You may recall what we have discussed, how we can convert a negative gradient series. Simply if we extend this cash flow in the form of a uniform series with extending all these transactions as $10 million each year, so this will be an annuities, and whatever we are increasing here, you just subtract the same amount here. So you are having a arrow upwards, and now this will behave as a gradient series, and this series will be converted into an annuities. So you convert all these annuities into present worth and you subtract this gradient series from these annuities. So this will be the present worth of the associated disbenefits. If we calculate it, it comes out to be the total worth, present worth of the disbenefits comes out to be $80.21. So if we summarize what we get present worth of the investment as 71.89, present worth of the cost, that are the M&O cost, this is $26.87. Similarly, the present worth of the associated benefits, it comes out to be $167.41 million, and the present worth of the disbenefit, it comes out to be $80.12. Now if we recall the formula for the B by C ratio, it simply says that benefits subtracted all benefits minus the disbenefits associated with this and the M&O cost associated with this. So if we just subtract this cost, that is the present worth of the cost, present worth of the disbenefits from the present worth of the total benefits, and divided by the investment. So that will give us the value of benefit to cost ratio. So if I put the numerical values, it will be 167.41 minus 80.12 minus 26.87 divided by the present worth of the investment, that is 71.89. So if we see, the B by C ratio comes out to be 0.84. Since it is less than 1, so it is not economically justifiable to accept this particular project. Now from PI point of view, that is the profitability index. So what we have discussed in profitability index, we don't take into consideration the disbenefits. We don't take into consideration the disbenefits. So simply if I compute the profitability index, it will be the benefit subtracted by the benefit, the M&O cost subtracted from the benefit. So it is 167.41, and from this if we subtract 26.87 divided by 71.89, so if we compute this, it comes out to be 1.95. Now if we see this is greater than 1, so the thing is, if we don't consider disbenefits into account, then the same project is basically viable. So the thing is, since the private firms, they are not interested in evaluating the disbenefits, so if they calculate the value of PI, the same project which is not economically feasible, in case we are taken into consideration the disbenefits, the same may be accepted. So that is how we evaluate the project. And the important thing to note here is that we don't have any multiple projects, we have only a single project, and we have to make a decision whether to accept it or not. So this is all about the simple benefit to cost analysis, where we don't have any n number of options, rather we are having only a single option, and we have to make a decision whether to opt it or not. So in the next lecture, I will be discussing when we have more than 2 options available with us. So that will be in our next video. Thanks a lot.